So, today we're going to talk about things you should know about wallets. This is part of my Bitcoin Simple series, and this is basically how to Bitcoin. So, there are a couple things that you need to know. I have a blog in here. I'm going to read some of this blog directly to you because this is important. And I'm going to show you a few pictures along the way that will probably help. If you want to go through this again, please feel free to do that, or you can go to my blog site on darwinstheory.org and take a look at this in the text form. I know a lot of you really like to read the text also. So let's get started. I'm going to use the term cryptocurrency and crypto and Bitcoin interchangeably. Just think of it as the thing that we're talking about. I'm going to try to stick to Bitcoin as the word that I use just to make everything a little bit easier to understand. So I feel like I ought to apologize for the length of this, but I won't. It's important stuff. You really want to know how to make this work. You need to get the picture. So if you want, I've created this video. You can watch this or you can just come back and read this. Either way works for me. But I know some of you really like to read rather than just watching the pictures. So here we go. If you want to buy or sell Bitcoin, you have to have some kind of wallet to hold your coins. It's called a wallet simply because, like the wallet you have for your I'm sorry, I just can't talk today. Like the wallet you have for your cash and your credit cards, this wallet is specially designed to hold cryptocurrency. And some, like your personal wallet, there's a lot of different models you can choose from. I made this blog to help you understand what your options are and which ones you should be using. Now notice I said ones rather than one because there are several different reasons to have a wallet, and we'll talk about them here. So here's what we're going to cover. The types of wallets that are out there, how they work, how to keep them secure, and what advantages you might have for each type. Crypto wallets, basically they are two different things. They're either a hot or a cold style wallet. And then within these two categories, there's a couple other divisions. First, let's talk about the difference. The hot wallets are connected to the internet. So if you can see the internet when you're on this wallet, it's probably a hot wallet. They make it easier for you to buy stuff. You can have access to live markets if you like to trade Bitcoin or other Forex currencies or other cryptocurrencies for that matter. They come with everything connected. So the downside, they're hackable. In fact, anything that's connected to the internet is hackable. So just keep that in mind. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Usually what you're going to want is some kind of hot wallet to make your life easier so you can buy and sell Bitcoin. And then you probably want a cold wallet. So cold wallets are completely disconnected from the internet. And they are absolutely the best way to keep your Bitcoin safe over the long term. So think of them kind of like a personal safety deposit box or even a bank vault. They are very unhackable. So within each of these categories, there's four main types. Exchange type wallets, software wallets, hardware wallets, and paper. So I'm going to spend a minute and talk about each one of those. Now, I know a number of other people have divided this into way more categories. I think one that I saw the other day, they divided it into like 8 or 9 different divisions. Don't worry about that. There's really 4 that actually matter. And you're new at this. And since you're new at this, I really am trying to make this pretty simple. You need to know the concepts, and by the end of the time I'm done talking here, you'll have the concepts and you'll have that basic suggestion of what you need to do next. And then I've got another entire blog that talks all about why we're going to do this, how you do it, and how you get your wallet set up. So don't panic. So let's talk about the exchange wallet. First thing, what's an exchange? Okay. The exchanges. Let's take a look at exchanges. How about Amazon? Did you realize that's an exchange? Probably not. You exchange your money for their products. That's an exchange. eBay, that's an exchange. The CME Group used to be called the Chicago Board of Trade, but they merged with Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and now they are the CME Group. That is a way to sell futures. So if you want to sell metals, if you want to sell oil, gas, wheat, soybeans, pork bellies, this is where you go. Okay, and you can buy them. Okay, so that's an exchange. New York Stock Exchange, everybody knows what New York Stock Exchange is. That's a way to buy and sell stocks for the most part. Now, they do other things now, but stocks, bonds, that kind of thing, that's what they're famous for. And then there's Forex trading. I don't know if you're even familiar with this, but there's an entire marketplace out there that all they do is they buy one kind of currency against another kind of currency. So if you look down here in the middle right now, this one right now, GPB / USD, that means that they will buy or sell the British pound against the US dollar. So right now, the British pound is worth about $1.30. And that's for buying it. And for selling it, it's worth about $1.30 and 56. Okay? And somewhere in the middle is what it's actually worth right now. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through this, but just there's a Forex market out there. One of the things that this is very close to is this is very close to how the crypto markets work. Generally, when you go out and you buy Bitcoin, what you're going to buy is you're going to buy something that's like BTC / USD. And you're going to give your dollars and buy Bitcoin in the process. Now, it's not going to be all this hairy the way it looks, and you're not going to have to learn how to read charts unless you want to. There's a lot of ways we're going to do this, but we'll make this part simple. But be aware it's out there. Forex is out there, and then there's a number of Bitcoin style exchanges. So we've got one that's called Bittrex. I happen to like that one. We've got another called Coinbase. I've got that one also. Bitcoin, I'm sorry, Kraken. Kraken is one of the largest in the world. And then we've got another one that's called Binance. Binance US is the one that's authorized in the United States. There's one called Binance.com that is also out there as an exchange. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. But think of it this way. If you get an account on one of these, that will allow you to buy Bitcoin. Well, when you buy Bitcoin, you have to have an account to put it in. The accounts that are created in the exchange are simply wallets. Okay, no difference. So that's a wallet. You create a wallet, you buy Bitcoin, you put Bitcoin in it, and that's what it is. So that's an exchange wallet. Now, this exchange wallet, in most cases, is very compatible with any other wallet that you might have out there. So you can actually send your Bitcoin or your cryptos from one wallet to another. So now we've got software wallets. So the software wallets are a little bit different. Let's go back. In fact, let's just go back here and we'll talk about those. The software wallet then is an app. You can download it to your phone, you can put it on your computer, anywhere on your tablet, wherever you can put an app, you can download those. And it doesn't matter whether you're on a PC or a Mac. A good software wallet is a great way for you to conveniently get your Bitcoin, buy it, sell it, store it, whatever you want to do with it. Most exchanges have their own app that you can also download directly and open up your exchange account. In fact, I think I had a picture of it right here, didn't I? No, it wasn't that one. There you go. So Bittrex has their app, and so does Coinbase, and so does Kraken, and so does everybody else. But they've got an app that runs and on your phone. So basically, it's a wallet on your phone. Even more so, there are a whole bunch of apps out there that are very good at holding your money. So from that standpoint, I'm going to defer to my next blog that talks about what kind of software wallets you want to get. Let's go to the hardware wallets. All right, hardware wallets now are completely different. They're actually a physical device. They look like a USB drive. And in fact, I'll show you a couple of them, but they plug into the USB port on either your computer or your phone. And then an app on your computer and phone links your hardware wallet and reads all of your account balances there. Most of these hardware wallets will hold hundreds or even thousands of different types of crypto coins. So any of this will work just fine. The two major wallet manufacturers out there right now in the world are Trezor and Nano. So let me show you one of these. I personally prefer the Trezor. Trezor 1 is not terribly expensive. I think it's about the same price. Well, I'm not sure what the price is. I think it's about $60 US. They hold 1,000 or more coins, including all of these. I really like this. I have used this for probably 5-6 years now. And I like the user interface. I like the way it works. To me, it's very simple to use. The Model T is much more expensive. It's about $160. However, if you're thinking about putting your hard-earned money and your retirement account and everything else in there, that's not a bad choice. In the future, I will have the ability to offer these directly to you. At this point, I don't. So the link that I've got in the blog will send you directly over here. Again, this is the one that I really like the most, and the Trezor Model T, for those of you who don't mind spending a little bit extra to get a very secure system, that's the one that you want. Okay? The other one that pretty much everybody promotes, and quite frankly, it's because it's cheap, is called the Ledger Nano. The Nano X runs 119, as you can see, and the Nano S is the older version of it. So think of this as pretty much the same thing as the Trezors. This is the Trezor 1, and this would be the Model T. So these are also very good. The Nano S only holds about 4 different kinds of coins. So if you think in the future you're going to move into maybe more coins than just Bitcoin, the S is probably not the one that you want. The Nano X holds a number of coins, and it's really okay, pretty easy to set up. So this isn't one that I suggest, but there's a lot of people out there who love them, who use them all the time. Personally, for me, their user interface kind of sucks. And I'm sorry, excuse the French there, but I really don't like the way it interfaces with me. And to me, it's hard to see things. It's hard to do things. It rubs me the wrong way. But like I say, there's a lot of people out there, especially a lot of the bloggers, that this is the way it goes. They tell everybody to go buy one of these because these are the best in the world. I really think the Trezor is a much better deal. Great prices on the Trezor 1 and the Model T. I think the Model T is about $160. So it is significantly more if you want to look at it that way. Okay. So this is where I talk about private keys and public keys. So let me go back here and let's run through this. What a private key or public key is the it's the cryptography that is involved. Hang on. We're not going to go into this in great detail, but I want you to know this thing exists and why it's important. So many years ago, I think probably in the 70s, 80s, it was early 80s. I was in a computer class. I'm a computer geek. And they were talking about how to secure the network back then. Okay, now this was before the internet. The only thing that was out there was called the DARPA web. And it was mainly for military or military functions. And that's where the internet came from, by the way. You can look up DARPA and they'll talk about the beginnings of the internet. But the class that I was in was cryptography. And it was how to secure this thing. And one of the best ways to secure things was called public key, private key, or private key, public key. And so what it was that you created a special key that was yours, and it was called a private key. And then you also created a secondary key that was something that anybody else could have that would validate that you are the one sending the messages. So you use your private key to scramble up the message and to send it into the world. And then anybody that you've given your public key to can unscramble that message and read it, but only those people. And the added benefit for those of you who are a little bit geeky is that when somebody has your public key, there is no way to unscramble that to get back to your private key. And so it's very, very secure. So private key is generated in the hardware wallets. So when you buy sorry, I got off the road there. When you buy a Trezor and you start to set it up, the first thing it does is it says, let's go create your private key. Now, it doesn't say that. It says, I'm going to give you a list of 24 words. I want you to write those down, and I want you to write them down in the order that I give them to you. Okay? Those 24 words in that order get run through a program that's called a hash, and it sets up your private key. Okay? And then it does the same thing with your public key. And so now it knows, the Trezor knows your private key and your public key. You don't have to. All you have to do is you got to remember those 24 words, and you got to put them somewhere where they're safe. Because the nice thing is then, I happen to have 3 Trezors. Okay? I set up the first one. I put my money in it. And in fact, I think I've got 6 or 7 different cryptos that are in there. And then I needed a backup because no idea. Am I carrying my Trezor and I drop it and I run over it? Possibility. I'm carrying my Trezor and somebody steals it? Possibility. Lots of reasons I could use a backup. So I bought 2 more of them. So we have 3 in total, my wife and I. And I took that 24 words, and when I plugged it in the very first time, it said, do you want a backup or do you want to create a new 24-word list? And I said, I want to back it up. And so it started asking me what the 24 words were, and it asked me the position of each word. So it said things like, give me word number 18. Give me word number 6. Give me word number 14. And by the time I get done, it says, okay, you're up. I'm good. And I unplug it, plug it back in, and magically all of my accounts are now on that Trezor too. That's very cool. So, 24 words. They're called a seed phrase. You have to get those. You get them from the Trezor, and then you have to find some place to put them that they are totally safe. Totally safe. When you get ready to buy and sell Bitcoin, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, it's just a program. It's a send receive. Just like you were in your bank's program, you said, I want to send some amount of money to my friend wherever. Okay, so it'll ask you one of 2 questions. What's your friend's email address, right? Or it'll ask you, what is your friend's bank account number? Okay, and what's the routing number most likely, or what's the SWIFT code, or it depends on how far you're sending it. So this is kind of the same way. Your hardware wallet, basically you click on the send Bitcoin button and it says, who do you want to send it to? Give me a valid Bitcoin address. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. And then it says, okay, how much do you want to send? And then it says, are you sure? And it asks you to take a look at your Trezor, and it'll say something like, you're about to send so much Bitcoin to this address. Is that what you really want to do? And you click continue, and it starts doing its cryptocurrency thing and getting a message ready that says, I'm going to send this much Bitcoin over to my friend. And then it sends it. That's it. So it's really simple. You want to send money? Okay, what's the address I'm going to send it to and how much you're going to send? You good with that? Click the go button. That's it. Very simple. So let me explain something to you that exchanges don't necessarily want you to know. When you set up an account on an exchange, it doesn't give you the private key. Okay, so what does that mean to you? That means that you can't prove that you own the Bitcoin that is sitting in your account on their exchange. All right? So let's think that in for a minute. This is exactly like your bank. Whether you know it or not, when you put money in your bank account, you have given that money to the bank to do with it anything that they want, including not give it back to you later. So think about this. They essentially have the private key for your bank account. And if they chose to, or if some government told them to, they could lock your account, they could take all the money out of it, they could do anything they want with it because they own your money. That's why I'm a little bit concerned about people putting all of their Bitcoin or crypto on an exchange and just letting it sit there. The other half of that is sooner or later exchanges get hacked. They always get hacked. Okay, and whether it's this year, next year, or 20 years from now, it doesn't really matter. If your Bitcoin is on that exchange and it gets hacked, you may have a hard time getting it back, even if they say it's insured. Okay, so I ranted on that. I'm sorry. I'll move on a little bit, but it's very important to you to know who owns your crypto. And the only way for you to know that for sure is it's in a hardware wallet and you have the private key. That's it. Okay. Now, it is fine to leave money on the exchange. It's okay to leave money in a crypto wallet on your phone, but most of your money should go into a hardware wallet that you are in possession of. Okay, like I said, I had 3 of them. I have 3 of them. My wife has one. I have one. In fact, my wife hasn't logged on to hers for probably a year now. I have one, and there's one sitting in an undisclosed location that if I need it, I can get to it. Plus, I also have my 24 words. So literally worst case, I can grab another Trezor or any Trezor compatible wallet. So a software wallet that uses the same kind of crypto that Trezor does, and Trezor uses the normal one, if you want to quote the normal one. Then I can put in the 24 words in the right order and it will generate me a private key and it will go and see how much is in the account with that private key. And so you're back. Very nice. Very cool way of doing things. You never have to worry about losing your money. And if you're really, really concerned about that, change the frickin' password. Okay? There's a PIN code on every one of these. On the Trezors, you can set up a PIN code that's anywhere from 4 characters to, I think, 15 or 20, something like that. So here's a secret. PIN codes. You want to do a PIN code, take out your phone, bring up the dialer pad on the phone, and it's got little, so it's got the alphabet on it. Think up a phrase that you're never going to forget. How about, now don't use this one. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. Use the first letter of every one of those words. Or better, use the last letter of every one of those words. Okay? And that will make something that you can remember, but guessing it would be, wow, it would be like darn near impossible. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can secure even your PIN. But the point that I was trying to make there is even if you lose that Trezor, you haven't lost your money. Okay, it's easily gotten back just because you know those 24 words. So what's more important, the piece of hardware or the 24 words? Yeah, no kidding, 24 words, right? You've got to have the seed. You got to keep it in a safe place. Okay, Paper wallet. Paper wallet is really simple. It's a piece of paper that has something like this on it. Okay, it will either have a QR code like this. Oh, by the way, see this thing right here starts with 32XY, whatever it is, XJ. That is a Bitcoin address. And so either somebody will show you this QR code and say, this is my receive address, or they will give you this 32WX, whatever it is, and say, this is my Bitcoin receive address. Either one of those work. Now, some of the wallets, especially the software wallets, have the ability to create a piece of paper, print a piece of paper. Sorry, you don't create paper, you print on it. Create a paper wallet. So it gives you a 12-word seed phrase that allows you to recreate your wallet in the event you lose or reformat your device. Okay? So what's a good example? A good example is about every 2 or 3 years, almost everybody that has a smartphone gets a new one, right? So what happens? Well, you turn in your old one. Oops. Even if you delete stuff off of your old one, you really do need to get your crypto back on your new phone, don't you? Well, this is one way to do it. It's a pretty easy way. You get this 12-word seed phrase, you open up the new wallet, you type in that seed phrase, and it says, oh, you got Bitcoin. And here it is. So that works out really cool. Okay, so again, that's another one of those. Keep that 12-word seed phrase in a safe place, or if it prints out a QR code for you here, keep that in a safe place. And by the way, this is an active QR code. That is my receive address for Darwin's Theory. So if you think this is useful, please feel free. Go ahead and send me a little bit of Bitcoin. And quite frankly, $10 is great. $5 is great. I got no problem with the small numbers. Anything that helps you and you feel has been of value to me, I would appreciate it. Now we got 12-word seed phrase. We got QR codes. You know what those are. Let's see. Wallet asks you to send if you want. Yeah. And so that's what it is. So why would you use paper? Personally, I wouldn't. Okay. And the reason is because it's all about security. What if it burns? What if it gets shredded? What if somebody's walking through your house, sees it laying somewhere, and grabs it? Your money is gone. There's so many stories from early Bitcoin, 2009, 10, 11, even into 12. Everybody was printing paper wallets, okay, because they really didn't have good wallets. They had one that was called Bitcoin Core, and it was just a pain in the butt to use. By the way, that's still around. And so they were printing paper and sending paper, or sending an email with the QR code on it, or with the 12 words, or something like that. The problem is they got lost. Remember my story about my 2,500 Bitcoins? Yeah, I'm still looking. So don't use paper. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're changing phones and you've got a software wallet, send all of your coins from your software wallet to your Trezor. Okay, and then you delete the app, and when you get the new app on the new phone, you just send some back. Makes it really simple. And finally, well, not finally, but think about security. Okay, this quite simply could be all the money that you have in the world. So think about how you're going to keep that safe. This could be your retirement. Quite frankly, right now, some of you are thinking about a way to divest a little bit of some of the savings you've got. This may be the way to go. Right now, Bitcoin is sitting at, I think, 11,500. In fact, let's just go look here real quick. I use TradingView, by the way, just to take a look real quick and see what they are. And the answer is, yep, 11,503. Boy, that's about as close to 500 as you can get right now. You see, we've got kind of a downward trend here. But if I look at the 1 hour chart, it's definitely an upward trend. It's just drooping a little bit. And it does this. It'll do sometimes as much as 50% down. Now I'm on a completely different subject. But if you were to invest some of your money into buying Bitcoin, if you had done that at the beginning of the year, you would be up 300% right now. Okay. Over the next year and a half, most of the pundits are saying that Bitcoin is going to $100,000. Well, that's a 10x, right? I'm not saying do it. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not a counselor. I am just a guy who has watched this for a while. If you are concerned about your future and you would like to have yet another way to secure some money, this is something to consider. I don't think it's ever too late. All right. No matter where you store your crypto, upgrade your personal security immediately. That means make sure you know where it's being stored. Make sure you have good, solid passwords. And quite simply, a 4-digit PIN code is not enough. Use some kind of password manager. There are 2 really good ones out there. One is called 1Password. That's more for the Mac people than the PC people, but it works very well on the PC side also. And there's another one called LastPass. Feel free to look those up. Use a password manager. I started using 1Password about 2 years ago, and it turned out I had 700 passwords. Can you imagine? Because you almost always have to have a password to get into any sites anymore, and mine was over 700. Absolutely ridiculous. So now I actually have good passwords, and it's those weird ones, TXBQ459 bang @ whatever. Yeah, that kind of password. And I don't have to worry about ever typing them in because they're saved. And as soon as I go to that site to bring up or to log in or anything like that, 1Password comes up and says, hey, I got your password. You want it? And so it's very cool. So use a password manager. Now, one thing I didn't talk about is the Trezor T, Model T, actually has a password manager in it. So you could actually store all of your passwords completely offline. Nobody can hack a password that's offline. That's the beauty of it. So that may be something else that might push you towards the Model T for at least some things. And by the way, Model T and the Model 1 are interchangeable. So if you have the 24 words for the Model T, they will work on the Model 1 also. Okay, other things. Why are you doing this? Well, one of the reasons that people are moving towards Bitcoin and quite frankly away from gold and silver, and I'll go over this in another blog too, but basically Bitcoin is really easy to move around. Okay, if you've got a bar of gold, how are you going to get that to somebody if you need to pay them? It just doesn't happen. It's too hard to move something like that. If you want to move Bitcoin anywhere in the world, in fact, I heard this morning, somebody transferred over $1 billion. That's a B, billion dollars in Bitcoin to another wallet. Now, nobody knows who it was that it came from or where it went. What I'm trying to get to is how much it cost you, how hard it was to do that. You know what the charge was for transferring $1 billion? 48 cents. And another one that I heard of was slightly over $1 billion. It was actually, how much was that? That was $4, actually $5. And if you were to go and look, you can probably find some of those examples of transfers. How much does it cost to transfer Bitcoin? It is a sliding scale, and the busier the network gets, the more it costs. Okay, so be aware of that. But $1 billion for $5? I mean, that's nothing. That doesn't even count in the transfer. It's unbelievable. So Bitcoin is very safe. It's very cheap to use. It cannot be confiscated. In fact, the government doesn't know that you have it, how much you have it, how much you've used it, where it's gone, where it's come from. They don't know that. It's very hard to track. And unless you're careless, it is impossible for somebody to steal it. And read that word impossible. Impossible for somebody to steal it. It doesn't require you to have a bank account. It doesn't require you to have access to an account on any financial institution. It doesn't require your government's permission to use it or to hold it or to move it. So, fantastic thing. Now, it may seem that this is a little bit oppressive, that you got to do a lot of stuff. And I know I talked about a lot of things, so you're going to want to go back through this, or you're going to want to read this blog and spend some time thinking about it. You got to keep your account secure. This is your money. There is no place that you can go and you can knock on the door of a building that says Bitcoin on top of it. Okay, there is no Bitcoin company. So this is your money. You handle it well. You treat it well. You do your research and you protect your money. So one last kind of overlooked piece of advice. Nobody ever gets your private key or the seed phrase that builds your private key. Nobody ever gets this. But remember the old phrase, a secret's only a secret as long as only one person knows it. Okay? Never share your private key. So, what's in your digital wallet? Nobody will ever know. Isn't that cool? So now you got to decide what kind of wallet you want and what it's going to be used for. So here's my suggestions real quick. You need an exchange account or something that will allow you to buy Bitcoin and sell it. Okay? I'll talk about that in one of my future blogs about which exchange should I trust. And then I think you ought to have a software wallet. That's one that you can carry around with you on your phone, and it'll have a little bit of Bitcoin in it. $100, $200, $500, not Bitcoin, dollars. Okay? Because pretty soon you're going to be able to spend Bitcoin to buy things. And it's just like all of those ads that you see on the internet now. Some girl standing there doesn't have any money in her account and goes and plays a game and then just shows the QR code to the person who needs the money, and they say, okay, cool, I got my money, this is so fun. Okay, that's where it's going to be very soon. You scan a QR code and say, send this amount of money, or they scan your QR code and say, I'm going to take this amount of money. You say, okay, and off you go. So I think you need an exchange account. I think you need a software wallet, and I absolutely, positively require you to buy a hardware wallet. Okay, there is no excuse for not having a hardware wallet for 99% of your cryptocurrency. It needs to be offline, it needs to be secure, and it needs to be held so that nobody besides you can get to it. Okay, one other thing, last line here. I really appreciate your support. If this has been useful to you, I'd appreciate you become a patron by visiting patreon.com, Darwin's Theory. Every little bit helps, and as little as $5 allows me to continue to do this. So please, take time. Tell me that you appreciate what I'm doing. Have a great day.